Hey Buzz, what's up? So here we have quite a large clump of what I believe to be Aloe arborescens. All of these stalks have since dried following its flowering. I will attempt to try and get rid of as many of them as possible, but obviously getting to the center of the clump might be a little bit more on the difficult side. But I can also see signs of a problem. So this mass of growth is what is generally referred to as Aloe Cancer. This is caused by a mite that lives and feeds on the aloes and then essentially causes this to grow in an uncontrolled kind of way. It will usually affect the flower stalks, and sometimes you'll also notice it forming growths around the base of leaves, or in extreme circumstances, the whole rosette might be affected effectively. But in this case, it just appears to be growing on the flowers. So when I remove this I will not put in the compost. This I will actually burn. Best to try and get rid of it as consistently as possible, and by burning it, you will destroy that material and hopefully any mites that are contained within it. It's a very difficult issue that we have these days. Eradicating it is almost impossible. Where we have a nice clump here, maybe a neighbor has clumps of aloes. If they're not getting rid of their aloe cancer and letting it spread, then that will easily spread to my clumps as well. So the most I can do this day and age is trying to control it when I see it on our plants, and maintaining a healthy enough population so that this does not get out of control. So, leading on, this is also the time of year that I would tackle pruning some of the cycads. And as you can see here, the new growth at the top is looking quite nice. Some of these bottom leaves are dry. They're not contributing anything back to the plant. So a very quick and easy way just to kind of tidy up the look of them is just to prune out a lot of these dry leaves, and they can be cut back quite close to the trunk. I usually leave about 2.5 centimeters or an inch of the stalk remaining. I don't want to take it back too far, lest that potentially damage the trunk and provide an avenue for diseases or bacteria to be able to get in and cause damage to the trunk. Unfortunately, on this specimen here, we have some issues of scale, and we are continually dealing with that. You can just see on these leaves here, on this pup from the plant, this whitish kind of cottony kind of growth that's over top of the leaves is a scale. And we are treating these because if we don't, we will have this insect infestation completely overrun the plant, and it could eventually kill it. I don't want to lose it, so we are applying an insecticide to try and reduce the voracity of the scale and eliminate it altogether. But that is a longer process. It takes repeated applications to do that. But in the time being, I can remove all these dead leaves. I can open up the air circulation around the plant, which will also help to reduce the insect infestation by creating more airflow, drying things out for them, which they would not like nearly as much. And in certain instances where the leaf is highly infected, even though it's not fully dry, I will cut that out to remove those insects from the plant at the moment. In a bad infestation, you might choose to actually remove all of the leaves and let the plant put out new ones as you are still treating the plant to reduce that draw that the insect is kind of having on the plant itself. Now, because these have the scale on them, again, I will not mulch this, nor will I compost it these will be taken to be burned, so that we are trying to eliminate all of the insects, and that we're not then reintroducing those scale to another area of the farm or to another area where we also have the cycads growing. So here we have one of the cycads, that's Cycas revoluta, and we have completely taken off all the leaves. You can see this was absolutely covered in this kind of woolly scale. We have treated it repeatedly. We are now just kind of waiting to see how it's going to react. It would be a shame to lose such a large plant. The scale can easily come off now. For the most part, it appears to be dead, but we will just be keeping an eye on it while we continue to treat it, and hoping that it will shoot out some new leaves and recover as the season progresses. But you know, you got to be monitoring fairly regularly, or else something like this will happen, and then you need to take drastic steps, like what we had to take in taking off all the leaves. It had leaves all the way from here on up, so it was quite a defoliation, unfortunately, and now we just kind of wait and see. But I feel like our intervention will yield some fruits, hoping that now as the weather warms up, this will start to reshoot, and then we will just monitor and treat as needed to ensure that we have crossed that boundary, gotten rid of the scale as much as possible, or altogether, hopefully, ideally, and then let this plant recover.